Mojo Mathers.
I rise to speak to the 2010-2011 Financial Review of the Ministry of Education. I first would like to note that it's New Zealand Sign Language Week, and I want to take this opportunity to acknowledge the many teachers who will use this week to introduce New Zealand Sign Language into the classroom and thereby introduce our children to this beautiful visual language that is the third official language of New Zealand. We all know and are agreed upon the importance of investing in education for our children. We know that this means for children with a disability providing appropriate early intervention and adaptive technology so that they don't fall behind their peers. So I am very concerned that the Ministry of Education has changed its policy and is now choosing not to fund remote microphone hearing aid for children with a hearing impairment called auditory processing disorder, unless they are also receiving special education support. And what this means in practice is that these children have to have another recognised disability such as autism or to have developed a serious learning need. And I consider this policy to be both unfair and illogical. Auditory processing disorder is a hearing impairment where children are unable to process and understand sound in the same way as others, despite the fact that they may pass conventional hearing tests. It is linked to glue ear, which is a condition linked to poor housing and poverty, and it affects more boys than girls. It also is higher amongst Maori and Pacific Island children, the very children who are often falling behind in classroom situations. And I consider the decision to cut funding to be unfair to the child with auditory processing disorder, who will be struggling to understand and follow classroom instructions and is likely to be on the path of underachievement. It is unfair to parents who have to choose between watching their child fall behind in the classroom or pay privately for the remote microphone hearing aids themselves, assuming that they have the ability to do so. It is unfair to teachers and other children in the classroom because children with remote processing disorder, because they're unable to follow what is happening in the classroom to the same extent as their peers, will often have behavioural problems, therefore causing disruption in the classroom. So I consider this decision to cut the funding to be wrong and should. It also makes it impossible for schools to meet their obligation to provide an appropriate learning environment for these children, as they are required to do so by the National Education Guidelines. Children with auditory processing disorder should not have to be failing the system before they receive the support and the technology that they are entitled to. So while I applaud the Ministry for saying that they want to focus on children who are underachieving, there is also a need to make sure that children with a disability are given the support they need before they're completely failing in the school system, and that I hope will be addressed. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Honourable Hickey.